you're an investor and you still haven't heard about the Dscr loan, then you are far behind. But don't worry, in this video, I'll be going over what the Dscr loan is and how you can apply for it. Real quick before we get into the video, if you would like to apply for the Dscr loan, please feel free to click on that link in the description below. It will take you to a landing page and you just have to fill out that form in order for me to contact you to go over scenario and pricing. Now let's get into the video. First off, let's start off with what Dscr stands for. Debt Service Coverage Ratio. In order to get the calculation for the Dscr, all you have to do is divide the rent by the mortgage amount, and that will give you your ratio. Typically, lenders will lend you based on a 1 ratio, which basically means that let's say the mortgage amount was $1,000 and the rent's $1,000, divide the rent by the mortgage amount and you'll get a 1 ratio. The next tier for ratios are typically 1.15 or 1.25. So let's say for instance you get a 1.25 ratio, your rate will be slightly better. For example, let's say your rent came in at $1,250 and your mortgage amount is $1,000. You divide that $1,250 by that $1,000 and you'll get that 1.25. Now how do they calculate rent? If you're doing a purchase and the property is vacant, they'll most likely go based off of the market rent that the appraiser determines. Now let's say the property is being rented. They'll look at that lease agreement and they will go with the lower of the two. So if the appraisal rent is $1,000 and the rent from the tenant is $900, they'll go based off of the $900. They always go with the lower of the two. Another requirement for the Dscr loan is credit. And I'm sure, as you know, the higher the credit score, the better the rate. There are a few lenders that are willing to go under a 620 credit score. The next thing you need for a Dscr loan, if it's a purchase, you'll need a down payment. For single families, you could put as low as 15% down. For multi-families, 2 to 4 units, you typically put in 20% down minimum. Keep in mind, the higher the down payment, the better the rate. Now let's talk about interest rate. We went over a couple factors on how you can get the Dscr loan, and that does affect the rate. Some factors that affect the rate on the Dscr loan are your credit score, which I'm sure you know, the Dscr ratio, which we went over. So the higher the ratio, the better the rate. The down payment or the LTV. So on a refinance, for example, a rate in term, the lower the LTV, the better the rate. Typically for refinances, you could do up to 80% of the LTV. So if the property is worth 1 million, 80%, you're looking at 800,000. Now, if you did 75%, you'll get 750,000 and you'll get a better interest rate. As they go down by 5% tiers, you typically get better rates all the way down to 60% LTV with majority of lenders. The huge advantages of using a Dscr loan are they don't look into any income documentation, no employment history, and you're not capped to just 10 finance loans at a time, like conventional loans. We have some lenders that are willing to do up to 20 loans. There's some over 50. So you have more options to get more finance properties at a time. So this is a great fit for self-employed borrowers or investors in general who just want to level up and just keep grabbing more properties without having to worry about any tax returns showing a loss or any employment history. Now let's go over the disadvantage of the Dscr loan. The only disadvantage for the Dscr loan that I think there is there's a prepayment penalty. You can choose to avoid paying this prepayment penalty by increasing your rate. Typically, the Dscr loans come with a 5-year prepayment penalty. Majority of them come with a step down, which basically means that first year, you'll pay 5% of the remaining loan balance if you decide to sell or refinance a house or pay over 20% of the loan amount within a 12-month period. Second year would be 4% of the remaining loan amount. Then it goes to 3, 2, and then 1. Then there is the straight prepayment penalty, which is 5% for 5 years. What are closing costs like on a Dscr loan? Closing costs are similar to your conventional or FHA loan. I always tell my clients they're right around somewhere between 5 to 6% of the loan amount. It could be more, it could be a little less. It depends on so many factors on the loan. That's why it's really good to speak to a loan officer to go over all this with you. With Dscr loans, lenders want to see reserves. Reserves are basically extra money in your bank account that shows you have enough to make a certain number of monthly payments. And this cash is after closing costs and down payment. Just to give you an idea, if you did a deal, let's say you found a property for $200,000, the lender typically will require 3 to 6 months worth of reserves. Depending on the deal, the reserves could be a little more. Now let's go over the process to get started for the DSCR loan. Once you've found the property you want to purchase, you just have to submit an application to the lender. The lender will then look over your credit score and the property rental income to make sure it makes sense. And once you submit the documents, the loan originator will start the submission process. Once the loan has been submitted, you'll get some disclosures sent to you along with the loan estimate. Once you sign that, send it back in, make sure the numbers are good. Then the lender will start processing your application. It typically takes 3 to 5 business days for you to get a conditional loan approval. This document will have a list of conditions that need to be met in order for you to close the loan. Simultaneously, we'll be ordering the title report and we'll also be ordering the appraisal. Once everything has been satisfied, then you can close the loan. I'll be making a lot more videos going through conditions and different scenarios that we've been through just to give you guys an idea how to handle all this if you do run into one of these scenarios. So make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on those videos. Like if you thought it was helpful for you, and comment and let me know what type of topics you guys want me to make. If you're interested in applying for the DSCR loan, feel free to click on that link in the description below and I'll be happy to go over a scenario for you.